The mansion shimmered under thousands of warm golden lights as snow fell softly outside, giving the night an almost magical glow. Guests in glittering gowns and sharp tuxedos poured in through the grand entrance, their laughter echoing through the halls. Everyone was there for the annual Christmas gala hosted by Daniel Hartman, one of the city's youngest millionaires, known for his extravagant lifestyle, perfect public image, and a marriage that many envied, at least from the outside. Tonight, however, was different. Tonight he had arrived with someone who was not his wife. Daniel stepped out of his luxury car with a confident smile, his arm wrapped boldly around a young woman named Serena. She was stunning, dressed in a red satin gown that clung to her like a second skin, her eyes glittering with ambition rather than innocence. She looked up at Daniel, almost claiming him with her gaze, her fingers tightening around his arm as cameras flashed around them. "Are you sure your wife won't cause a scene?" she whispered. Daniel smirked, brushing off her concern. "Emily knows her place. She won't ruin the night. Trust me." But deep down, even he wasn't as sure as he pretended. Emily Hartman, his wife of 10 years, had always been quiet, graceful, and devoted. For months, he had underestimated her silence, believing it to be weakness. Tonight, he would learn that it was anything but. Inside the ballroom, people whispered as Daniel and Serena entered. Some guests exchanged shocked glances, others smirked with amusement, and a few older women shook their heads disapprovingly. The orchestra played softly, but even the music couldn't drown out the tension spreading through the room. Daniel enjoyed the attention, greeting his business partners as if nothing were wrong, acting as though bringing his mistress to a public event was perfectly acceptable. Serena held her head high, proud to be seen, proud to be chosen, believing she had already won. But none of them had seen Emily yet. For the first hour, her absence fueled gossip. Maybe she refused to attend. Maybe Daniel finally got rid of her. Poor woman. Imagine being humiliated like this. And then the room fell silent, one voice at a time, like dominoes. Because Emily had arrived, she appeared at the top of the grand staircase in a flowing silver gown that shimmered like moonlight. Her hair was styled elegantly, her makeup soft yet striking. She looked nothing like the quiet housewife people were used to seeing. She looked powerful, composed, breathtaking. Even the orchestra missed a note when they saw her. Daniel froze mid-conversation, the champagne glass halfway to his lips. Serena's grip tightened on his arm, suddenly uneasy. Emily walked down the stairs slowly, gracefully, each step commanding attention. She wasn't angry, she wasn't broken, she wasn't even pretending. She simply carried herself like a queen reclaiming her throne. And that was far more threatening than any outburst. "Emily," Daniel breathed, unable to hide the shock on his face. She smiled politely, as if greeting a stranger. "Good evening, everyone," she said, her voice warm and confident. People flocked toward her immediately. Compliments poured in from every direction. Women admired her beauty, men complimented her grace, and business allies greeted her with genuine respect. It became painfully obvious to Serena that the room adored Emily, and that Daniel's wife was not the fragile creature she had assumed. But the real surprise came moments later. The mayor approached Emily first, shaking her hand warmly. "Emily, thank you for your recent initiative at the foundation. Your work has been remarkable." Serena blinked, confused. Daniel stiffened. He hadn't heard anything about this. Emily simply smiled. "Thank you. The city's youth programs needed support. I'm glad I could help." Then a renowned investor approached her. "Emily, your proposal last week was brilliant. We should finalize it after the holidays." Serena's jaw dropped. Daniel's face flushed red. Not from anger, but from the embarrassment of realizing he had no idea what his wife had been doing. Because while he had spent the last year chasing excitement and vanity, Emily had been building something real, something meaningful, something influential. Daniel cleared his throat and stepped closer. "Emily, can we?" She turned away before he could finish, accepting a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. For the first time in their marriage, she didn't stop what she was doing to listen to him. She didn't rush to soothe his ego. She didn't even acknowledge the woman clinging to his arm. Instead, she moved through the room effortlessly, speaking with guests who genuinely admired her. Daniel's own colleagues drifted toward her with respect he had never earned, and slowly, painfully, he realized that the spotlight, his spotlight, had shifted to her. Serena grew irritated, whispering sharply, "Why is everyone acting like she's the star of the night?" Daniel didn't answer. He'd begun to notice something he had ignored for years. Emily wasn't just beautiful, she was intelligent, respected, connected. She didn't need him to shine. In fact, he was the one who had dimmed her light. Meanwhile, Emily continued greeting guests with warmth, but behind her calm eyes was a strength Daniel hadn't seen before. She still remembered the late nights when Daniel's excuses had begun. She remembered the scent of unfamiliar perfume on his shirts, the coldness in his voice, the lies spoken so casually that they barely sounded like lies anymore. She remembered crying alone in their enormous bedroom. But she didn't come tonight seeking revenge or pity. She came to reclaim her dignity. An hour later, as dinner was announced, Emily was invited to sit at the head table, beside the senator and mayor, while Daniel and Serena, shockingly, were placed 2 tables away. Serena's face burned with humiliation. "Why aren't we sitting up there?" she hissed. Daniel muttered through clenched teeth, "I don't know." But he knew. It was because Emily had earned her place, and he had lost his. Throughout dinner, Emily was the center of attention. She spoke confidently about her charity projects, and guests listened with admiration. Daniel watched her from afar, suddenly aware of how blind he had been. For years he had treated her kindness as weakness, her silence as obedience, her love as something he was entitled to. But tonight, he saw the truth. She had outgrown him. After dinner, the host announced a special presentation, a tradition where the Hartman family donated to a meaningful cause. Daniel stood, expecting to lead it as always. But the host cleared his throat and said, "This year, Mrs. Emily Hartman will make the announcement." Gasps rippled across the room. Daniel's stomach twisted. Emily walked up to the stage gracefully. "Thank you," she began, her voice steady. "This year's contribution will fully fund scholarships for underprivileged youth, something very close to my heart." Applause erupted. But she wasn't done. She lifted the microphone again. "And I would like to take a moment to thank everyone who has supported me personally this year. Your encouragement helped me grow at a time when I felt invisible." Daniel's heart dropped. Serena smirked, thinking Emily was about to embarrass herself. But Emily didn't expose him. She didn't shout. She didn't humiliate anyone. Instead, she added softly, "Tonight marks a new beginning for me. I've learned that silence is not weakness, and being alone is not the same as being lost." Her words hit Daniel like a punch to the chest, because the room understood exactly what she meant. After the applause faded, Emily stepped off the stage. Daniel quickly approached her. "Emily, we need to talk," he demanded. She shrugged gently. "There's nothing left to discuss, Daniel." "Emily, please, you're blowing things out of." She looked at him then, really looked at him, and he felt smaller than he ever had in his life. "I'm not blowing anything out of proportion. I'm simply choosing myself this time." Serena rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, stop being dramatic." Emily turned to her calmly. "Serena, you can have him. But understand something. What you're getting isn't the man who once stood by my side. It's the version of him who lost himself while chasing illusions." Daniel flinched. Serena stood frozen, speechless. Emily continued walking, greeting more guests, gracious and poised, as if nothing could touch her anymore. But Daniel followed her outside onto the balcony where snow fluttered through the air. "Emily, I made mistakes. I know that, but I can fix this. We can fix us." She laughed softly, not cruelly, but sadly. "You cheated, Daniel, not once, not twice. You built a whole second life behind my back. That's not something you fix. That's something you walk away from." "I love you," he insisted desperately. "You love control," she corrected. "You love attention. You love being admired. You love the version of me who stayed quiet. But you don't love me. Not really." Daniel's hands trembled. For the first time, he realized he might actually lose her. "Emily, please." She took a deep breath and looked at the snowy garden below. "I spent years shrinking myself to make you feel bigger. I'm done doing that." Then she faced him, her voice gentle yet final. "You brought your lover to a party hosted in our home, Daniel. You humiliated me publicly. But look around tonight. I didn't need to expose you. You exposed yourself." The doors opened behind them as several guests walked out, greeting Emily warmly. Not a single person addressed Daniel. That moment broke him more than her words. Emily turned back to him once more. You chose your path. Tonight, I'm choosing mine. With that, she walked away, down the stairs, into the quiet snowy night, free, strong, and no longer living in his shadow. Daniel stood frozen, watching the woman he had underestimated become the woman everyone admired. Serena tried to approach him, placing a hand on his arm, but he pulled away. For the first time, he saw the difference between a distraction and a partner. Between lust and loyalty, between illusion and reality, and the brutal truth hit him. He had lost the best thing he ever had. The rest of the night belonged to Emily. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need drama. Her strength, her dignity, her grace had stolen the spotlight effortlessly. And as the party continued behind him, Daniel realized something that would haunt him for years. He had brought his lover to the Christmas gala thinking he would humiliate his wife. Instead, his wife walked in and stole the entire night, without even trying.